Hey guys, this is Conversation Convos, and today we're actually going to be talking about police encounters. But before that, got a shout out to my boy Snoop Doggy Dog with the nice Cali Red. So let's go ahead and pop this sucker. Gotta love that plastic.
Plastic out.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think the plastic is more of a pain than it is to get the actual cork out.
Yep. Put this sucker right in the center. Because I don't want it to be curving too much on the sides.
Make sure to critique us, guys. We are professional wine openers.
Yeah, professional. Professional wine openers. Ooh. Then, Hollywood.
Snap, crackle, pop.
Alright. For you, my good man.
There.
What do you think?
Not bad. It's definitely more stronger than the other one, but it's not like. This is probably where I sit at when it comes to like wine.
It's been a while since I had this one,
Yeah.
so. Oh, yes, yes. Mm. She
But it's
hit
not-
different after a couple years.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I just like how it's not as sweet as this other one. The other one was.
Oh yeah, the Cali Pink. Yeah.
The other one I felt like was like, I felt like I was a kid that was like, oh, a juicy juice box, let's go.
Like, oh, Capri Sun. like, nah, they ain't coming out from your Lunchable.
That,
That's definitely not coming out from your
well,
Lunchable.
we knocked that bottle out. Like we drank a couple beers before that, and then we knocked that bottle out, and I was like, I'm feeling real good.
Yeah. But yeah, to bring it back, so police encounters, my first police encounter, this was like actually like a little traumatic for me as a kid, was my dad, he already had, I guess, like a couple of tickets
Issues.
that were unpaid, and so we were driving around like he normally does around the summer. My dad's really big about his like his stereo system, so he always has it sounding loud and sounding crisp, and I helped him out, so I had like some education about it. So we're driving around and we're going down on Wilson Street in Manchester, New Hampshire, near if you were going up on Valley, past the what used to be Stop and Shop, but now it's Price Right. If you're going up past that, and then past like I guess they now put it as a group home and stuff like that, going all the way past there. Um, my dad got pulled over, and yeah, freaking the cop pulled him over.
When you got
And
tickets already, they're very like.
Yeah, so the tickets were already there, so all you had to do was just pretty much just look up his information, and once he looked up his information and stuff like that, it was just like, okay, like what's going on? Then next you know, the cop tells my dad like, oh, like you need to step out of the car and stuff like that, and the cop's talking to my dad more, and then my dad's just like, oh well, like like I need someone to come pick him up because like I'm not gonna leave my son here. And then next my aunt comes around, and granted she lived like literally right around the corner where he got pulled over, and then my aunt was just like, oh, like don't look back because like I literally saw
They're
my dad like,
arrested,
yeah,
handcuffs.
he got arrested and he got put in the back seat. And like obviously you don't stay up to date with your tickets. That's what's gonna happen, unfortunately, because in Manchester, New Hampshire, they have that type of thing where you reach a certain point or whatever like that, it's pretty much like GG's for you. It's pretty much like game over because you gotta pay that fine or you gotta get held up in a holding cell or something like that. So yeah, that was one of my traumatic experiences dealing with cops. Um,
Um, I would say, since we're starting off with not so great experiences, I'll do a not so great experience. For me, I was actually up late and we got hungry, and so me, my friend, and now my wife, but at the time girlfriend, we were like, hey, let's go get some food, like typical teenage, like, well, we weren't even teenagers, we were like 19, 20. We were over 18, but still is technically young age, teenage age. So anyways, we went up to go to McDonald's. So we went to go up to Hanover Street, and we were going up, and on our way up there, my friend's playing music. We're like, let's play some music on the way up there, and we'll chill out, like, whatever. And it's like I had my license, and then she had a license, and he's chilling in the back playing music. And we're driving up there, and we're like, okay, no problem. Well, my friend put his hands up, kind of like, I don't know if he was stretching or what.
yeah,
And then he dropped his phone in the process, and he puts his hands down to reach
Yeah.
for his phone,
yeah,
and then sits back. Oh, got our seatbelt on, because my wife, well, back then, again, girlfriend was very particular on seatbelts. If you're in her car, you're wearing a seatbelt. And so, plus in New Hampshire, technically, you're not required to have a seatbelt, but we all had our seatbelts on, goody two shoes over here. And suddenly the lights come on behind us, and we're like, okay, I'm like, oh, guys, I'm getting pulled over. So I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, okay, whatever. So I pulled over, and basically he walked up to the car, and he's like, hey, what are you guys doing out so late? And I said, well, we were at home, but we're hungry. We're going to go get some food. So basically, why not? We're going to go to McDonald's. And he's like, oh, your car just happened to match the description of a car that we had caught on camera after they robbed the St. Mary's Bank. And I'm like, okay, well, we're going up that way, so I don't know. He's like, no, it's fine, because you don't match the description. The car just matches the description. But he's like, I'm just wondering what and he looks back at my friend in the back seat. What were you putting your hands up for and reaching down for and all that? And he's like, I just dropped my phone and playing music, and I was trying to pick up my phone because the aux cord dropped. And he's like, okay, well, you should probably keep your hands in your lap or keep them like in a stationary place. And I'm like, listen, can you just run my license and my tag, or run my license and my insurance or whatever the hell you got to run? And he's like, yeah, I'll be right back. And I remember thinking to myself, like, dude, like, why are you so worried about, like, my passenger that bad? I'm like, I get it, like, for your safety, like, you don't know if he has a weapon.
yeah,
But at the same time, it's like, you already profiled me as a bank robber, and you already got the profile wrong, so, how much more are you going to try and dig?
yeah,
It's kind of like, you get to a point where, as a human being, if I was to go up to somebody and say, you look like a jerk, and it's like, all of a sudden I find out, oh, you're not a jerk. Well, I'm not going to keep trying to find things wrong with you.
yeah,
Like, you got to stop at some point. You got to be like, okay, I was clearly wrong, so maybe I should stop and go find the correct person.
right,
There's a bank robber on the loose, apparently, so you're over here grilling me and grilling my friend for reaching down in the back seat. He didn't hesitate. He straight up told you, yeah, I dropped my phone. I reached down to get it. Like, he didn't say, oh, yeah, I was wearing a seatbelt, officer. I didn't do that. Like, no, I wouldn't take off my seatbelt to reach for my phone. Like,
yeah,
he was straight up honest as could be. I'm like, go run my shit. Like, come on. Like, we can make this a big deal, and then guess what? We all know you're going to hold me up for a couple hours, it isn't going to stick, and then I'm going to be out on the street again, and we're just going to hate you more.
yeah. That reminds me of a similar experience that I dealt with. It was it was again with that boy Ray, and we were on foot. We weren't in even a vehicle. We were on foot, and we were going to GameStop, the one that was right by T-Bones where we used to work at.
Mhm.
So literally right across from there. I think, yeah, you pretty much call that like borderline of Bedford, right?
Yeah, that's now y'all were in Manchester. I remember this story.
Okay, yeah.
Fondly.
So we were literally like walking back from GameStop because he picked up a Pokemon game and I forgot what I picked up. I think I was trading something in or something like that. And we were coming back and these random chicks, like, I don't even know who the hell they were. They were like, fuck yeah, or whatever like that. They were just like yelling something randomly, and then Ray put up his arm and he was like, yeah, fuck yeah. And then literally like out of nowhere blue lights came on and like came around and then like literally pulled up beside us and stuff like that. And they literally like checked us from like head to foot and had us put our hands on the hood of the police vehicle, and they were asking us like, oh, like, do you have any weapons on you and stuff like that. I'm like, the only thing I have that's sharp is just a pencil, because I also just came out from high school, so it's like I don't really have anything that's like really threatening you, whatever like that. And then Ray was just like also saying the same thing, and then they opened up. Yeah, they literally opened up his brand new video game. It looked like he was gonna hide drugs inside a video game, and literally like talked to us like, oh well, what was that back there? It was like, I don't know. It was like just random girls hollering at us, and we didn't know them, and it was just like.
And it's like, does that really matter? Like, I can you gotta. I mean, they could lock you up. Yeah, sure. I mean, if I'm a fellow officer and I got my buddy and I'm like, oh yeah, let's lock these guys up. I already know deep down in the back of my mind and in my heart, like, okay, I'm gonna lock these guys up, and guess what? It ain't gonna stick.
Yeah.
You're wasting time. You're wasting your time having to fill out the paperwork, and you're wasting your time having to put them in a holding cell, holding up a cell that could be used for someone actually out there.
Well,
mind you, you got people like Harmony Montgomery that are going missing, being beaten to death, and they still can't find her. Like, Eli, another kid that's missing.
I hate to make this like black and white, but also remember that there's a very thin line, and there's always that type of like minority, like like skin suspect and stuff like that. So it's a very thin line.
I don't know. That's a touchy subject. I already know people who like whether they watch us, watch something else or whatever. That's a touchy subject. But both those kids I just said are both white, and they're lost. They went missing. They got beaten to death by their families, and who were supposed to care for them. They thought that they were loved by them, and then next thing you know, they're dead. And it's like, okay, so they're out, questioning people like you guys and stuff like that, and it's like, why aren't you out looking in for these?
Was it racial profiling? Yes, because it's been very come to mind, and also remember when we were doing our Facebook posts, we were taking pictures because like we felt good, what I'm saying? Like it was our first like Facebook, and we just started our Facebook page. We all made our own profile and stuff like that, and we're like, oh, we all made our profile, so let's all like take profile pics at Mike's house, because back then like your house was the place to be at. It was your place or Ray's place, so we were like, all right, Mike has the best camera, so let's go over to Mike's house and let's take some pictures and stuff like that. And I was walking on Wilson Street from my house coming down, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I was feeling pretty nice, like not like intoxicated or whatever like that, because I was like still very young, but I was checking myself out in the mirror. I'm like, oh, okay, I look pretty clean, I look nice and stuff like that. I had a nice shirt on, so I'm checking myself out in like car mirrors and stuff like that, walking over to Mike's house, and then a cop literally drives by and stops, and he's just like, hey, well, what you doing? I was like, oh, nothing, just walking over to my friend's house. Like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, I noticed that you were staring inside some of these cars and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, I was checking myself out in the mirror and stuff like that, because I'm going to take some pictures for Facebook, because I just started a Facebook profile, so I'm trying to make myself like look good and make sure everything's coming out right.
Typical teenager stuff.
Yeah. And he was like, oh, okay. He was like, no, I just didn't know if, like, if there was something going on, if you were, like, like, trying to, like, get into a vehicle. And I was like, oh, no, like, nothing like that. Like, I'm just over here just looking inside the mirror and just checking myself on. So he's like, oh okay, all right, well, have a good day. And I was like, all right, bye. And it was just like, dude.
But you got to look at it from his standpoint, though, too. You got to look at it as
like a person that's looking inside the
mirrors. I don't care what your color is. I don't care if you're, orange Trump or freaking, white person or even freaking brown, blue, green, magenta. I mean, if I see you looking in a car, that I am going to ask you, like, hey, what are you doing?
No, I definitely understand that from that perspective.
I mean, at least he didn't get out of the car, ask you to take, hey, can I check your bag? Can I check you? Like, give me your license.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'll be honest with you, like, most of the times that I've experienced my cop experiences, it's definitely been, like, I want to say, like, at least, like, 55 or 65% on my end, because there was one time when I was doing, when I used to work for my boy Lynn, and I was doing a Bamboo Garden. It was a Chinese food place that was on Valley and Wilson, Valley, Wilson, and Lincoln, because it was just like that whole plaza right there. And I was already like ran up with my points and stuff like that, because when I would be doing deliveries, I just be trying to be quick with it. Like, I'm just trying to get to the customer, drop off the food, next order and stuff like that. And like sometimes I'll have like maybe like 5 or 6, Chinese food orders, and I'm just trying to drop it off fast. And that was me whipping the Lexus. It was the Lexus IS 250. And I was just like, dropping them off, bada bing, bada boom, being quick with it and stuff like that. I got pulled over already twice because, again, my speed. And it was always the same cop. I don't remember the cop's name, but it was always the same cop, which annoyed me because it was just like, dude, like what the fuck, bro? Like you literally catching me every single fucking time, and it like this is like at this point I'm taking it personally because this is complete bullshit. And I already got up to that point where I had to go to court and I had to tell them like some type of some type of thing
cut them a spiel.
Yeah, cut them a spiel so that way I could kind of get myself out of this type of funk where they weren't gonna suspend my license indefinitely or whatever like that, so that way I keep driving. And one night I was driving back to Bamboo Garden to pick up more orders, and there was this car that was in front of me. I should have looked at the license plate. I should have been a little bit more smarter. But I was driving up this vehicle's ass, and I was like, yo, why is this car driving so fucking slow or whatever like that? Kept on speeding up on his ass. Car pulls over, and then I go forward, comes up behind me, turns on the blue lights, and I'm like, fuck. I'm like, yo, my life is over. Like, that's it. Because if I would have got, another ticket or anything like that, that's it for my license. It was the sheriff police. And I didn't even know it. I didn't even know it was the sheriff police. And he comes out of the vehicle. He's like, "Do I know you?" And I was like, I don't think so." And I was like, "So let me get this straight. You don't know me, but you're riding up my ass, and you're over here speeding in whatever zone, whatever like that."
And I feel like that's a double-edged sword that he's trying to throw at you to stab yourself with. Because even if you said, "Oh yeah, I swear I knew you, sir. I didn't mean anything by it." He would have been like, "Oh well, you still shouldn't be riding people like that. That's dangerous. You could have hurt the person you knew." Either way, he was gonna.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then on top of that, it was just the fact that what I'm saying, he opened up with that, and I automatically already first was already apologizing and stuff like that. I'm sorry, what I'm saying, I didn't know. He was just wait right here. And I was like, okay, I ain't really gonna go anywhere because you're a cop. Yeah. And then he went back to his vehicle, finally came back, and then he was just it's yeah, so I ran your license and everything like that, and I could literally basically ruin your life right now. I could take away your license if I really wanted to, but I'm not gonna do that today. You know why? Because I already dealt with so much bullshit today. Do you know why I just got done? And I was like, no, sir. And he was just like, I just got done dealing with 2 accidents. And I had to deal with the ambulance and trying to deal with all this extra bullshit. And then I got you over here riding my ass. It's like, I don't need this. I really don't. And I don't need the extra paperwork just to deal with your bullshit. Slow the fuck down. That's my last warning to you. If I see you out here again, that's it. I'm not gonna fucking be nice the next time I see you. Slow the fuck down.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, I'm sorry, sir, and stuff like that. It's like, you have a good day, and seriously, be careful, because I'm not Mr. Nice Guy. You can ask anybody around me, they know me. I'm not Mr. Nice Guy, but I'm willing to cut you a break. Slow the fuck down. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. Literally after that, I told my boy Lynn, I'm like, dude, holy shit. And then it happens to find out that one of our cashier, Ian, is actually close friends with the chief police because he dated the chief police's daughter. And I was just like, damn, dude, like, that's crazy small world. It's like, yeah, dude, you should have told me because I would have been, like, try to at least get you. I'm like, dude, I'm already, like, I'm in the middle gate pulled up. I was going to be like, yo, Ian, like, yo, can you, you know, it's like, can you, like, smooth it out? But it's just like, nah, dude, like, there ain't no way you're going to be able to, like, really, like, smooth it out. So, I mean, it is what it is. But, you know, you live and you learn. And then there was a couple incidents that happened after when I lived in Rhode Island. That one was just like, oh man, dude, like I didn't even know how to take it because it was just like, dude, like fucking, I swear. Have you ever noticed that it's always when you're trying to get to some place fast and quick, that's when the police pulls you over? Yeah. It's when you're in the sense of urgency, that's when the police pull you over. It's not ever when you're being nonchalant. It's never when, like, you know, you're just doing, like, little small errands and stuff like that. No, it's when you need some place to be and then you're trying to, like, pep up the speed, then that's when they get you. And it's just like, fuck.
Yeah. I mean, I could tell I got a really good one. It was, I was in South Carolina, just got off a cruise. So it was mine and my wife's anniversary cruise. Got off, fresh off the boat, get in the car. We're driving, you know, smooth. I still got my sea legs, not quite land adapted yet. So I'm over here like a freaking, you know, I think I'm a frog over here driving the car, but come to find out I'm a fucking little freaking tadpole trying to step on.
I was about to say tadpole, yep.
I'm like, shit. So I'm over here thinking, yeah, I'm a frog, man. I'm going. These people are flying past me. Flying past me. I'm like, all right, let's pick up the speed. I want to get home, dude. I've been on this cruise for a week. I got to get home, and then I got to work.
You also have heavy feet, too, from being on the cruise.
And you don't feel it because it feels natural. But you don't realize that when you're on a boat and you're rocking back and forth, your feet, you start to build that stability and like how to balance yourself better so that way you can walk normal.
Yeah, so like the weight differentiation is just like if you step on the pedal, it's the same thing like it's the same thing like if you did leg day and you did like calf heels and stuff like that. You're pressing on that gas, but you don't realize like how much you're pushing on that gas.
Yeah, or like if you've been flying on a plane for a long time, then you step off and get a rental car. I mean. So anyways, I was driving, people flying past me. I'm like, oh, okay. So I speed up a little bit. And exactly like you said, I'm cruising. All these people are cruising past me, but they're gone.
Yeah.
Now that I've lost visual almost of them, all of a sudden I look in the mirror, lights come on, and I literally, like, perfectly, there's 6 lanes of traffic. I go boom, 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 boom. I hop over every single lane to get all the way to the right to pull over the shoulder. And, I mean, I do it in succession. I pull over, make sure he gets behind me. I pull over, make sure he gets behind me, just to make sure that he knows I'm not running. And so I pull over, I'm like, hey. And he's like, can I have your license and registration? And I said, well, I'm like, I have this black and white copy because the state of New Hampshire refuses to send me my license. They said that I waited 60 days, not 30 days, not 7 days, whatever the hell the license
Yeah.
says. I waited 30 days. And then I called them, and I called them multiple times before that,
Yeah.
obviously. But once I hit the 30-day mark, I really called them, and I sort of laid in. And I was like, "Hey, listen, I've been waiting for this license. It's been 30 days, and I haven't gotten it yet."
Yeah.
I'm like, "What is going on?" I'm like, "I'm moving in another like 20 days. I need this license." And they're like, "Oh, it takes time. Sometimes it could take anywhere from 7 days to like it was something like 16 days, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it says on the license when you first get it." And so I'm like, I can't wait. I'm like, people have a lease for a reason,
Yeah.
because there's a cutoff. I'm like, I've already waited 30 days. You guys told me it would be no more than 30 days. Now it's 30 days, and now you're saying it's going to be more? I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, do you need me to come in there and, work a 3-hour shift to make my own license? Like, you don't even got to pay me.
And that's the thing with these DMVs, man. It's just like
I get like it's stressful.
it's a lot of extra bullshit because like nobody likes going to the DMV. Let me just put that out there. Nobody likes going to the DMV. But when you do go to the DMV and then you have X amount of paperwork, like this is actually to be most recent. When I came down here to Alabama for me to get my license, they said that I needed 2 proof of residency. I fudged the truth. I was like, yeah, I got 2 proof of residencies, and then she let me in, and I waited in, the room until they called your number and stuff like that. Then another person, when I finally got to that desk, they were like, oh, do you have 2 proof of residencies? Like, oh, well, unfortunately, all I have 1, and I gave them all the proof. But keep in mind, I had everything. I had my birth certificate. I had my passport, I had my old original license from the old state that I was living at, and I had a proof of residency of where I was living at the present time. So it was just like I had all of the information that I needed for them to extract that. And the lady straight up was just like, I don't know, she didn't feel like dealing with it, or she was just like, what?
And you had proof of insurance.
Yeah, and I had proof of insurance. So it was just like, you're talking about like I had all the information I really needed. So if you have all the information you need, they can't really justifiable to deny you. I mean, if they had a bad day, then they can, I guess. That's on their part, but realistically, if you have all the information that like is needed, or you have all the information for them to extract, then you're good. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, granted, like I had to go and wait in a line for X amount of hours and shit like that, but like patience is a virtue.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is too. So when I got pulled over, he asked me license, registration, like typical.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave it to him, and with the exception of the license, because I had told him, like I said, here's my black and white. I have my black and white. I ran into an issue with New Hampshire that they wouldn't send me my actual license. I'm like, so he's like, okay, well, he's like, if you win and you successfully got your license, it should be in the system still regardless. It would just show that it wasn't picked up.
Right.
And he's like, they couldn't mail it down to you? And I'm like, no. He's like, and you couldn't have like a relative pick it up. And I said, no, they wouldn't let me. I even asked to have it sent to my father's address, who has the same last name as me. I could have him bring a birth certificate from the hospital I was born at, because it wasn't far from where he lived. He could literally get a birth certificate, go to New Hampshire's main place that has the IDs, and be like, hey, here's his birth certificate. It has my name on it saying that I am his father. I had my ID to prove that I am this person that's claiming to be his father, and I'm here to pick up his license. No, they wouldn't do it. They said, nope. I'm like, then how do you expect people to get their license? If you don't want to send it in the 30 days, and this person's literally giving you so many different options to get it to him without... I get the point, like, you don't want to send it in the mail out of state, because if someone gets their hands on it. But then, if that's the case, you don't want to send a license out of state, why are we able to get a birth certificate, which could be used to open lines of credit, and a social security card? You could send literally all of those. You can get those all out of state.
Yeah.
But a license, they're going to be picky about a license over social security card.
Yeah.
I think a social security card is a little more important.
Oh no, it definitely is because that's how people come up with fraud.
Yeah.
Because like if you're trying to get like let's just say if you go to like Guitar Center and then you want to get a credit card, you just give them the social whatever like that. They run the social like oh yeah you got approved. Then that person is fucked because you use their social and then you're over there just running it up and like oh well on this day you open up a credit card at a Guitar Center. And do you remember that or do you recall like, oh, well, no, I don't recall that. Which, like that's a huge thing that like people get that identity theft just because like either A, their information got leaked or because they know a certain person that's, going down the rut and they were like, oh, well, like I know this person's social because either A, they showed it to me or like, I gained trust with them and I utilized it and I was like, you know what, like I'm gonna use this person's social. They're not gonna mind. You know what I'm saying? It's just like dude, like you use my social to open up
but and that's my thing. Like I'd like to see someone walk into any place and get a line of credit with just an ID from somebody.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't happen like that.
No.
So I mean if they can prove that it's their address, they're like, here, I can send you like a electric bill that has my name on it and that it's my address. And if that name matches the name on the ID that you're printing off, I don't see a harm in that. Like you literally did a proof of address to them. The post office alone.
Yeah, which was gonna be the next thing that I led into was like, just like the thing that is funny to me is that like things that are electronically like for identity wise and documentation wise shouldn't be electronic and the things that should be identity and documentized aren't being electronic. Like I shouldn't have to go to a DMV to renew my license or like change my address or whatever. I shouldn't have to go to DMV. I should just be able to go on the website, be like, hey, like I live in this new area, and stuff like that. If you need a proof of address, I could just send you an email. All right, you check the email, you open up the PDF, whatever like that. Okay, all right, so this is that, match that. I pay whatever amount of fee. I do it through like my credit card, and you guys run it through that, or my debit card. Y'all run it through that. Y'all still getting your money regardless. Bada bing, bada boom. But then, like, if it's, like, other stuff, and it's just, like, once you require, like, a person, like, like, coming in and stuff like that for something like that, because it just makes more complications, you know what I'm saying? Like, renewing your ID or getting your ID out of a state, whatever like that, I can understand why you would need the person in there, but at the same time, it's just, like, it's not really necessary. But if you're trying to do something that's like, like something personal wise or whatever like that, then why not just make it like, in person to make it a lot easier or say it needs to be in person.
Yeah.
Because if you give that option of it being online and then next it's not really, it's fall proof, then it's just like I'm wasting my time and I'm wasting my money.
Well, exactly. And I mean, the big thing is that they tell you X amount of days to get your license. So if they're not able to do their job in a timely manner, then it's not the person's fault. Like, I come to your business like that's like a pizza place. You're like, hey, I know you got like it's Super Bowl Sunday. You got a ton of people ordering pizza, but on your website and on your commercial and on your app, it says that you'll have the pizza to me in 30 minutes or 45 minutes or less.
Yeah, it's 30 minutes or less.
But they'll tell you on their website when you go on there, it'll say due to high volume of customers today.
Expect latency
or expect 45 minutes or less, opposed to 30 minutes or less. And I mean, that's the thing. Make your adjustments. Be like, hey, we're understaffed. Expect it to be 30 days before you get your license. I'm not saying go through on every single license and change the thing, but maybe the supervisor should be printing out a paper for it to be handed to every single person that's getting their license.
Keeping that communication open, and that's
Yeah.
again, like that's what's really
And
all
then-
about. Because especially when it comes to these government
They don't
jobs,
answer. They don't even answer the phone. You call them to be like, hey, and it's a tooth and nail to fight to get them to answer. And when they do, it's like, oh, it's too late. I've already got my license. Literally. So that brings me back to the. So after he had come back from trying to run my New Hampshire license, hoping that it came back as like, hey, he just didn't pick it up, like it's still valid. No, they suspended it. They suspended the license instead of, contacting me or even being nice and being like, hey, if you go and take the written test in North Carolina, then you're good. We'll send them your information. They
Yeah.
can transfer your license. But no, they didn't make it easy at all. So this guy was like, I'm sorry that, he's like, I understand your frustration, obviously, because you clearly have proof that you went and got your license successfully. But the fact that you didn't receive it, I mean, there's nothing I can do as a police officer. I'm pulling you over. My system's saying to suspend it. If I don't write you a ticket for a suspended license, I'm going to get reprimanded.
yeah,
So he's like, unfortunately, I'd write you a ticket for a suspended license. And he's like, then I had to write you another ticket for speeding. And mind you, I was speeding. I was going pretty fast. I was speeding pretty high for what it was in that area. And so he's like, technically, you could be arrested for this speed, but he's like, I'm not going to do that. Tell your wife to get in the driver's seat, and then I'm going to give you a court date. He said, here's what I want you to do. Go and get your license in North Carolina, he said, because these tickets won't be, in the system yet until you go to court. Once you go to court, that's when we decide, okay, this ticket's going in the system. This is what the ticket actually is going to be. And you'll be deemed guilty or not. And so he's like, go and get your license. And he said, if you do that, I can almost guarantee you the judge that you see will wipe this out and forget about it. And he said, and then if you show up and you did that and showed me that you were willing to put forth the effort, I'll lower this ticket down as far as I can, as far as the judge is willing to let me lower it.
yeah,
And he's like, so just do that for me. And he said, fine. He's like, have a good day, be safe. And he said, my number's on there if you have any questions. So super nice, but it was just like, obviously, like, there was a lot of tickets, a lot going on. And I mean, when I looked at how much the tickets were, it was over $1,000 worth in ticket money. I was like, the suspended license was like, I think it was like, I want to say 400 and something, almost 500, and then the speeding ticket was like 600 and something. So
Jesus,
I was like shitting bricks,
yeah,
essentially, just because of having to go to court, because I'd never been to court, and then also, never been to court for my own self.
yeah,
And then going there and seeing the price, I was just like, but I did. I went and got my license, and then I had received the actual copy, and then I showed up at court, and when I got to court, the judge we went through everybody. It was like group court where you got like a whole bunch of people in there for all kinds of different things. So finally they got to me. I walked up there, and she said, I mean, and mind you, before this, there was countless people there before me that had their license was suspended, and they were supposed to do a driving course, or they hadn't gotten their license and they got caught driving without a license. And every question she had, did you go and get your license? Did you go to the class at least? She's like, if you couldn't afford it, we gave you an option to go to a volunteer class where they do the classes. It's a little more spaced out and it'll take more time, but have you been going to it? It's free. And oh no, I couldn't get a ride there. No, I couldn't. Like, I mean,
yeah,
excuses.
yeah,
I mean, there's no nice way to put it. And then I got up there, and then she's like, all right, did you get your license? I'm like, yep, right here. She said, bring it to the bench. So I walked it up, gave it to her. She said, you're the first person today out of the 6 hours that I've been here that actually did what was asked. I'm like, and she's like, you've been respectful, quiet, and she's like, literally the first time, she's like, this isn't your second court appearance, this isn't an extension, like, this first time showing up. She's like, you don't really have a record. She's like, I mean, I see you've been stopped a couple times here and there, but nothing like that sticks.
Yeah.
She's like, so, okay. And then she's like, well, we can wipe out, I'll expunge the suspended license ticket. So I was like, damn. I'm like, so that's like $400 something back in my pocket.
Yeah.
And she's like, and what were we thinking about this speeding ticket? And she looks over at the police officer that was there that day, and she's like, officer so and so had wrote him the ticket, and the officer went, he's not here today, I'm filling in. Of course, that always happens. A lot of times, the police officer that pulled you over doesn't end up showing up to court.
Mm-hmm.
But still, he had communicated successfully. That's why we stress in a lot of our podcasts. Communication is key.
Mm-hmm.
He communicated to his friend, and he was like, we were trying to lower it down as low as possible. Well, maybe a 1 or 2 point. She's like, 2 point. And so I didn't expect it to be a 1 point. I was shocked it got down to a 2 point, because I was originally looking at like a 6 or 7 point.
Oh, wow.
I was like, literally like, so if I got that 6 or 7 point, it only took like, I think, a couple more points and I would have been out of the license, like, for good.
Yeah.
Like, never to get my license again in that state, or maybe not even in another state, depending on rules and guidelines on each individual state. But, yeah, that shit was scary, especially sitting there in court. Like, even though the officer told me, like, go and get your license, she'll probably expunge it and lower your points down for your speeding ticket. So it was a scary moment, and then it was also kind of annoying. It was annoying because so many people were flying past me, and I was like, dude, like, you pulled me over out of all the people. But then I kind of think about it, and I'm like, exactly like you said. I mean, it could have been like, oh, you know, I saw you speeding, and he could have flew past me and went after this, like, brown guy that was driving fast, or this, you know.
Yeah, racial profiler.
So, I mean, each time I get pulled over, I'm not happy about it, but at the same time,
of course,
it helps concrete my theory of, you know, it's not that it's racial profiling necessarily. To me, it's more of like,
who's doing the worst?
Yeah, it's kind of like what office, there's like a bad apple, and it's spoiling the bunch because there's a lot of good cops out there, and they get totally overlooked. Like, it's kind of like the news. The news won't put out, oh, you know, today this kid rose awareness for, you know, cancer, or like went to this animal shelter and took care of all these animals. Like, no, they talk about, oh, this man killed, like, this black man killed this man, and it's like, you just saying man because he's white, and you're saying black man because he's black. Like, it's media.
Yeah.
It's really media that drives that home, and then you got these handful of police, subject to opinion, whether you're going to believe more police or less police or whatever. Besides the point, basically it's subject to, like, in the moment, did you get a bad cop or a good cop?
Yeah.
And I have to say, I'm like 50-50.
Same. I mean, I've dealt with, like, a couple decent cops when I was in Rhode Island. Like, I got pulled over picking up my ex-fiance's brother, and this was when he worked at Chipotle. And, again, I was whipping it in my Lexus IS 250, and,
250?
yeah. In my Lexus IS 250, and yo, like, I'll be honest, I was banging on that bitch because I just wanted to pick him up because it was like late and I already had to
trying to get it done.
On top of that, it was just like I had work in the morning, so it's just like I worked at Amazon, so it was just like, dude, like, I already know for a fact I gotta deal with bullshit, and I already know where the fuck I'm gonna be at when I go to work tomorrow, so I was already dreading it. So let me pick this dude up. And I'm over here whipping it, and me being me, being stupid, I switched it to sports mode because there's like a little tiny switch
Yep.
that you could switch it from sports mode to like snow.
Like
'Cause
Kia
that's how
Optima
I-
had that
Yeah.
sports mode.
Once I flipped on to sports mode, I was zooming, and then cop pulled me over. I was like, oh fuck! I'm like, all right, here we go. And he's like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, oh, it's all right. But like when I get pulled over, it's a different experience. Like I'm already on that racial profiling thing, so it's like I automatically put my hands up. I take my keys out the ignition, I put it on the door dash, and put my hands up, and the cop is like, I don't know if they're offended or how they feel some type of way, but like they kind of look at it and they're like, oh, like you're okay, like put your hands down. But like in my mind, I'm just like, no, like you're the one with the gun and a stun gun and stuff like that. So I'm just keeping my safety, and I'm just I'm just keeping my hands up. And then when they asked me for my license registration, I'm like, my license is in my pocket and my registration is in the glove compartment. May I please grab it? And he was like, yeah, you can grab it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to reach for my registration. And he's like, yeah, I do, like, you're fine. I'm like, okay. I grab it, and I'm keeping one hand up, and I'm grabbing it. I'm like, going to grab my license. Is that okay? And he's like, yeah, no, like, you're fine. I'm like, okay.
But we're in a day and age where, I hate to say it is true. You honestly have to be very persistent.
Yeah, because I don't want to reach for something, because like another incident happened to me again in Rhode Island. It was like,
keep your hands up. What are you doing? And you're like, dude, I'm just trying to. You asked for license.
No, because he saw me, like, it was like a bad timing, because this was when we were going to get our next apartment when I was living with my ex, and we were going to go check out a new apartment, and I got pulled over, and I got out of work early, luckily, and fucking the cop pulled me over, and I was just like frantically like looking for my shit. I'm like, fuck, man. Like, I already know what the fuck he's gonna ask for. I'm like, do I even have it? Like, where the fuck is my wallet? And I'm like searching for stuff, and then like he approaches the window, and again I put my hands up. I'm like, hey, and he's just like, oh, I noticed like you were fiddling around with stuff and everything like that. Like what were you grabbing? Is everything? I'm like, yeah, no, I was just trying to grab my license registration, because I already knew that's what you guys were gonna ask for. Like, my apologies, I wasn't trying to make it seem like it was something else. The only weapon I have right now is my box cutter, and I use that for work because I work at a warehouse. I'm supposed to be going right now because you pulled me over. I was supposed to go to an apartment. My ex-fiance, she just drove by right now, and we were supposed to check out an apartment, and like I fucked up, and here, this is where I'm at, officer, because you pulled me over, and now I can't meet and do the meet and greet at that new apartment. And he saw how flustered I was. He's like, are you okay? I just want to make sure, because I don't know if I need to call the ambulance, because like you're breathing heavily. And I'm like, I'm fine. It's just I'm a little irritated, and I'm like frustrated, and I'm mixed emotions right now because he pulled me over. I'm just trying to get this stuff done. So, like, it's just bad timing. I already been dealing with a lot of stuff with my ex-fiance, so you just call me on a bad time, on the wrong day, at the wrong place. And he's like, okay, it's like, it's alright, like, listen, like, this is what I'm gonna do, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna, unfortunately, I have to give you a ticket, but, you can show into court and stuff like that and try to fight it off, but, like, just take it easy, take a deep breath. Like, are you sure you don't need the ambulance? I'm like, no, I'm good. I need to get over to this place because I need to be there to do this. Dude, literally, like, right after that, he pulled over another person.
Yeah.
And that was another thing I wanted to bring to people's attention. Keep in mind, when it comes at the beginning of the month and at the ending of the month, doesn't matter what month it is, beginning and ending of the month, that's cops quota. So you're talking from the 20 all the way to the 30, and then from the 1st all the way to the 10th, those are those make or break points for cops. So be very crucial when the way you be driving at the beginning and at the end of the month. Mid-season, I'm not saying to go haywire and do whatever the fuck you want, but they're not really too, like, attentive. But don't do that to yourself at the beginning of the month and at the end of the month, because
depends where you live too.
Well, it depends on where you live, but like I know for a fact, like, they all got that quota.
If you're driving where we are now, like,
yeah,
you're probably not gonna get pulled over near even at the end of the month, the beginning of the month. So if we say at the end of the month, driving around here, you might get stopped once. Maybe.
Yeah, it might not
downtown,
be too harsh.
You go downtown Manchester. I guarantee you'll probably get stopped.
Well, it's not even being in downtown Manchester.
Well, just anywhere.
Because they'll get you.
But I'm just saying
on the streets because I mean I'm not trying to give bullshit to Manchester police because there's some good ones and then there's some bad ones that are out there.
In our time when we were there, like even teenager up until before you, like right up to where you moved to Rhode Island, or even a little bit after, because I know you had a problem too. I had a problem a little bit with Manchester, but it wasn't like no sweat.
Yeah.
Now, Merrimack, I had an issue. I literally was coming out of Merrimack, leaving my job, and I literally turned the corner. So you come down the hill, and then there's a dealership. And mind you, it was cold, it had snowed, so I'm just trying to hurry up and get home.
Yeah.
And get this day over with. Because like you said, get out of work, you're like, I'm just trying to get home. Cop pulled me over. He said, "Where are you going in such a hurry?" I said, "Well, I'm done work. I'm on break. I'm not getting much of a holiday off. I literally get the day before Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving Day off, and then it's my weekend, and then I got to be back to work Monday. It isn't like I get a whole week worth of vacation like all these kids do."
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm just trying to get home, and he's like, "Okay, like I get it. Like, less registration." He's like, "Just slow it down," and I'm like, "You just looking?" Like, he's literally sitting on the set, and then, sure enough, looped around just like you described. Looped around. Mind you, Thanksgiving is at the end of the month. Looped around, and he parked on the side. And mind you, I'm trying to put my registration back in my glove box, get my license back in my wallet, get my wallet back in my hand. And this dude literally, because normally they wait for you to pull off, then they pull off. No, this dude went and hid back in his hidey hole, where I freaking couldn't see him. And I was like, okay. And I didn't take too long after he pulled into his hidey hole before I pulled off. And then I'm getting ready to get onto Raymond Rhetoric Drive, I think is what it's called. It's that highway, that new freeway that they built to connect the highway to Londonderry, and also to connect it to the airport and all that. So, and all of a sudden, right as I'm about to turn onto that Raymond Rhetoric Drive to get towards the airport and then to get into Londonderry and so on, I see lights come on. I'm like, dude, you just got done pulling me over for speeding. And I'm like, you're already riding someone. I'm like, I mean, the guy wasn't mean to me, but I'm like,
it was just the fact that it was just like literally right
to Shark Week.
That happened to me when I was doing 2 doubles, and I was leaving Rhode Island, and I was coming down, and I was going to meet up with my close friend Eduardo, and he worked at a pizzeria, and I think it was
in Merrimack.
It was also in Merrimack.
Because we order from there all the time. Merrimack.
It was a Billy's Pizzeria.
Yep.
And I was just like literally coming off the ramp, and the minute that I came off the ramp and I was driving, blue lights, and I was just like, oh great. So it was a female cop, which I don't I don't say anything. It's nothing wrong with that. I don't discriminate. But she pulled me over, she ran my plates and whatever like that. Then a second police cruiser came in. I'm like, oh my god. I hate when they do the second police cruiser.
When they call for
That's not necessary. That's not necessary. It's really not. Because all you're doing is just you're
causing more of a threat to
you're causing more of a threat, and then you're making it more something that doesn't need to seem. And then they came back and
I could see
nothing.
I could see if you had you were in the car, someone else was in the car.
Dude, I was by myself. Coming back from Rhode Island. It wasn't like I had fucking guns like T.I. in the back of my fucking seat or something like that.
I mean, you already know what they're gonna be. Oh well, I don't know that. All right. But my thing is, it's one guy in his car, and you have a gun already ready. All you gotta do is flip that, pull the gun out.
Yeah. Well,
by the time he opens that door, gets out of the car, or the second he moves, you already...
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that, at the end of the day, they have they have the authority, and then they have, the utensils and stuff. But, like I said, after she got done literally pulling me over, and then she let me off with a warning, because I actually told her where I was heading to. It's like, oh, you going over to that place? Turns out to be their favorite place. And I was like, oh, no shit. I'm like, so, like, can you leave me the fuck alone? I didn't say that, but I was just like, yo, like, I'm on my way there. And then after that, she was like, all right, I'm going to let you off a warning, like, just, like, drive slow and stuff like that. I'm like, okay. And I called up my boy, I let him know, and then we were driving back, and I followed him because he obviously knows the way, and he knows the certain speeds, and he knows how cops are. The minute I was following him, again, blue lights, but it wasn't for me. Pulled over another person, and I was just like, yo, like, they are just trying to meet that quota. Yeah, they just trying to meet that quota. And it's just, it's crazy, but, that is definitely going to do it for our police experiences. These encounters, they get crazy, but just be ready for it. Don't be speeding if you know for a fact you need to be in a place at a certain time. Leave at a better time than you need to be, and just be cautious. Be cautious at the beginning, at the end of the month, because they out there. They out there when you least expect it.
Yep. And we'll end it on that.
Peace.
Peace.